South Carolina's firing squad, justice or barbarity? Is the firing squad a necessary tool for justice or a barbaric relic of the past? South Carolina is poised to execute Mikal Mahdi by firing squad, reigniting a fierce debate about capital punishment and its methods. This case forces us to confront uncomfortable questions about the state's role in taking a human life. Give a like and subscribe. Leave a comment. The South Carolina Supreme Court has denied Mikal Mahdi's final appeal, paving the way for his execution by firing squad. Scheduled for April 11th, this execution would mark the second time South Carolina has used this method in recent history. Mahdi was convicted of the brutal 2004 ambush killing of off-duty police officer James Myers. Mahdi's fate now rests on a slim hope: clemency from Governor Henry McMaster. However, historical precedent offers little comfort, as no clemency has been granted in the state's 47 executions since 1976. The clock is ticking, and the debate surrounding this case is intensifying. Mahdi's legal team argued that his original defense was inadequate, failing to present crucial mitigating evidence. This evidence included testimony from relatives and teachers, as well as the potential impact of his solitary confinement as a teenager. They argued this information could have swayed the jury towards a life sentence. The state Supreme Court, however, unanimously rejected the appeal. The court stated that these arguments had been previously considered and dismissed in earlier, unsuccessful appeals. This decision underscores the difficulty of overturning a death sentence once it has been handed down. The execution is scheduled to take place at Broad River Correctional Institution. As mentioned, Mahdi's last hope lies with Governor McMaster, who possesses the power to grant clemency. But the odds are stacked against him, given the state's history. The lack of clemency granted in recent decades highlights the political and social pressures surrounding capital punishment. It raises questions about the true meaning of justice in these cases. Is it simply retribution, or does it involve a deeper consideration of mitigating circumstances? The murder of Officer James Myers was undeniably brutal. Myers was shot multiple times, and his body was burned. This heinous act understandably fueled public outrage and solidified the prosecution's case for the death penalty. Adding to the severity of his crimes, Mahdi confessed to the earlier killing of Christopher Biggs, a convenience store clerk in North Carolina. He was sentenced to life in prison for this crime, further cementing his reputation as a violent offender. Mahdi's violent behavior didn't end with his initial crimes. He was repeatedly caught with escape tools, including sharpened metal used as a knife. He even stabbed a death row guard during an escape attempt and hit another worker with a concrete block. Prosecutors have described Mahdi as a man whose nature is violence. This characterization, while potentially biased, undoubtedly influenced the court's decisions and public perception of his case. It also raises questions about the effectiveness of rehabilitation within the prison system. Mahdi is set to be the second inmate executed by firing squad in South Carolina, following Brad Sigmund's execution last month. This method of execution is steeped in a history of violence and political repression, raising serious ethical concerns. Historically, firing squads have been used to punish mutinies and desertion in armies. They were also a form of frontier justice in America's Old West and a tool of terror in the former Soviet Union and Nazi Germany. This dark history casts a long shadow over its modern-day use. The procedure itself is chilling. 3 prison employees volunteer for the role of executioner. They fire high-powered rifles at Mahdi from a distance of just 15 feet, aiming for a target placed over his heart. The clinical nature of this process does little to mask its inherent brutality. It raises questions about the psychological impact on the executioners and the desensitization it fosters towards taking human life. Is this truly a civilized way to administer justice? The events leading up to Myers' murder paint a picture of desperation and escalating violence. Myers' shed was located a short distance through the woods from a gas station. Mahdi had attempted to buy gas with a stolen credit card, but was unsuccessful. He left behind a vehicle he had carjacked in Colombia. Mahdi was later apprehended in Florida while driving Myers' unmarked police pickup truck. These details highlight the chaotic and reckless nature of his actions. Mahdi pleaded guilty to killing Myers, leaving the judge to decide between the death penalty and life without parole. The prosecution presented 28 witnesses, while the defense called only 2. The defense's case lasted a mere 30 minutes. The brevity of the defense's presentation raises questions about the adequacy of Mahdi's legal representation at the time. While a guilty plea can simplify proceedings, it also places a greater burden on the defense to present compelling mitigating evidence. Mahdi was able to present significantly more evidence during a 2011 appeal. However, the appeal had to be heard inside a prison due to his violent behavior, specifically the stabbing of a death row guard during an escape attempt. Despite the additional evidence, a judge ultimately rejected the appeal. This case underscores the complexities of capital punishment and the challenges of ensuring a fair trial, even in the face of overwhelming evidence of guilt. It forces us to grapple with the question of whether the state has the right to take a life, regardless of the circumstances. The impending execution of Mikal Mahdi by firing squad in South Carolina is more than just a legal case. It's a reflection of our society's values and our approach to justice. It demands that we confront uncomfortable truths about capital punishment, its methods, and its impact on all involved. We urge you to take action. Research the death penalty in your state, contact your elected officials to voice your concerns, and support organizations working to reform the criminal justice system. Engage in respectful dialogue with those who hold differing views and demand transparency and accountability from our legal institutions. Only through informed action can we hope to create a more just and equitable society for all.